Hey, it's Charlie Corona here for the PVT Network, hashtag PVT, Professional Valley Talk. And we're here at the RGV Sports Show. And well, look who we ran into. It is the world's strongest man, Mr. Mark Henry. Mark, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, man. I mean, I had a nice little drive yesterday. Got to see the sights. Beautiful countryside.
Drove down from where?
I drove down from Austin. I'm a Texan.
Okay. Great to meet a fellow Texan. Are you permanently residing in Austin?
I am. I've been in Austin since 2001. I have a place in New York as well, but Texas is home.
What made you pick Austin compared to Houston or Dallas or?
You know what? I actually didn't really have a choice in the matter. My manager and coach was a professor at the University of Texas in Austin.
Okay.
So when he came to my little small town in Silsbee, Texas, on the border of Texas and Louisiana, he was like, man, I'd love for you to come and train here until we can get you acclimated to the Olympic sport, and then you can move to Colorado Springs and live at the Olympic Training Center. And that's what I did. So I went to Austin. I stayed with him for about 9 months, and him and his wife, Jan, and boom, I ended up in Colorado Springs 9.5 months later.
Do you still have family in Silsbee?
Yeah.
What was it like growing? It's a tiny town, correct?
Oh, 3,000 people.
So what was life like for a little Mark Henry running around in Silsbee?
You know what, man? We was poor. I mean, you stomp on the floor, dirt came through the boards. Like, it was poor. My mom wouldn't eat until me and my brother had enough. But we didn't know we were poor.
You were happy.
We were happy. We went to church all the time. I grew up in the town that I lived in was pretty racially divided. The black people lived on one side of town, the white people lived on another side of town. There was only one Hispanic family and one Indian family in the town. And Dr. Patil, the Indian guy, was the doctor.
Okay.
And the Spanish kid, Gutierrez.
Okay.
He played football and baseball with us, and was one of my favorite guys because he was tough and could play basketball, man. So we grew up, we would always want to be on the same team because we were the two big guys.
Right, yeah. Well,
let's get these rebounds.
Speaking of being a big guy, all right, so how did you transition into powerlifting? Who said, you know what, Mark, or did you see something? What was the evolution of all that?
You know what, that was me. I saw the 76 Olympic Games, and I saw Vasily Alexiev compete, and I wanted to be him.
Okay.
And I begged my mother for weights. She couldn't afford to buy them. When we got to about, I guess I was 11 and my brother was 13, they finally scratched some money up together, and they bought us like those concrete. Remember those concrete?
They're gray,
weights?
and then you pour concrete in there, and eventually the gray kind of falls apart.
Yeah, it all breaks out after a little while, but that's what we trained with, and I lifted every day. I mean, that was my fortress of solitude, to be able to go and just work out with, and my neighbors would come work out. All the kids hung out at my house because my mom was a great cook, and all the kids wanted to come eat, but they also knew me and my brother was going to be in the front yard lifting.
Was your brother of equal size? I mean,
at that time he was bigger than me.
Okay.
He was. I ended up being taller than him and weighed more than him by the time we were in high school. But he was an All-American football player at Texas A&M. He was on that wrecking crew defense, and really, really talented player, and had a career-ending injury, and had nerve damage. He can't really, miss his three fingers. Had some nerve damage, so he couldn't play no more.
So you saw the 76 Olympics, and you said that. So was that like locked into your brain? That's what I'm going to accomplish. Going to the Olympics.
I'm going to be a strong man. Like I didn't really. The sport that I was the best at was not in the Olympic Games. Powerlifting was not in the Olympic Games. And, I still hold the Texas high school records. And it's like awesome, man, that I get to go to state tournaments and see these kids lift, and they still appreciate me.
Yeah.
And I feel like Texas is the best state in the country as far as for powerlifting, and we usually end up winning the nationals. Our kids win the nationals every year, so that's backed up by facts. It ain't opinion.
Hey, well, you're competing with Dallas, you're competing with Houston, you're competing with Austin. It's an enormous state.
LaPorte used to be real good when I was in high school. A-Leaf, Elsick in Houston. A lot of the Houston schools had a lot of the best lifters. But, all over Texas, you'll find, it was very competitive.
And did you ever have in the back of your mind, you know what, maybe one day I'd like to do wrestling? Was wrestling part of your universe, or where was wrestling in all of this?
Man, I was a wrestling fan. Like, I grew up watching wrestling from Houston wrestling, Dallas wrestling. Mid-South was in Louisiana.
Who did you love? Who was your favorite?
Oh, Andre the Giant was my favorite.
Yeah.
To watch him because he traveled around.
Oh, yeah.
He didn't just wrestle for WWF at that time. He wrestled for everybody. He was an attraction. I saw him wrestle in Dallas at the Sportatorium. I saw him wrestle for Paul Bosch in Houston. I saw him in Lafayette at the Cajun Dome.
Man, you saw him a lot of times.
Man, I'm as a kid, I was trying to. I just loved Andre. I wanted to reach out and touch him. I wanted to be friends with him because he was a big dude. He was bigger than life, man. And I even now, like I see a big dude. He could be working construction, and I'll go, "Hey, man, how much you lifted?" I just talked to the big dude.
Yeah. There's a bond there. So you went to the world famous Sportatorium when the Von Erichs were there. Did you go around that time?
I did. I'm Fritz Von Erich, man. Like everybody was like, if you didn't know Fritz Von Erich, you wasn't a wrestling fan.
No. Oh no.
You know what I'm saying? That's like saying you didn't know who Andre the Giant or Hulk Hogan was or Ric Flair.
Right.
Like, you wasn't a fan. So, yeah, I definitely, my grandmother was the one that used to travel around. We would get on a Greyhound bus, man, and go and watch wrestling.
That sounds great, man.
It was fun,
That
man.
sounds great.
And drive all through the night because, we wasn't staying in a hotel or nothing. So we go to Dallas. She didn't have a car. We go to Dallas on a Greyhound, take like 8 hours. And we sit outside until wrestling started at 7 o'clock, go watch wrestling, go back to the bus station at 11 o'clock, 10:30, 11 o'clock when it was over, get on the bus, go back to Beaumont.
But, hey, some of the best memories are just right there.
Me and my granny, man, that was it.
Now, we're talking about size and bulk. Is this the lightest that you've been in a long time?
Oh, yeah, since high school.
Okay, so what made you say, hey, you know what, time to slim down? What happened to you?
Man, I'm not going to compete no more. I wasn't winning those strongman contests. I don't train like that no more. I don't eat like that no more. I eat because I want to eat something delicious.
Right.
When I was competing, I ate and I was just like, I don't want to eat no more. But I knew I had to because I needed the calories and I needed the protein. And, I went from eating 13,000 calories a day to eating 2,500 to 3,000 calories a day.
How do you feel now that you're this light?
I feel great. I feel great. I got, my back is a little jacked up, but outside of that, no wrestler is going to leave wrestling unscathed.
True, yeah.
You're going to have some residual injury when you're done with wrestling.
So people come up to you and they talk to you. What is the thing that you always hear? Hey, what is the memory that they have of you?
Me breaking the ring in San Antonio is pretty high up there. Me kissing Mae Young, the whole sexual chocolate thing was very memorable, and me winning the world championship against Kane and Big Show, and me winning the world championship against Randy. Like that, those are the things that kind of stand out the most. But it's different with different people, like the younger kids, they remember me wrestling Randy. They remember me wrestling Undertaker, But the older people, I remember you and that old woman.
Now, that was a crazy story. When they pitched it to you, what what did you think? Like, okay, let's do it. I'm going to make out with Mae Young. She's going to give birth to a hand.
Listen, I'm going to tell you right now.
How did that unfold?
I have no idea about the hand. That's all Vince.
Okay.
Like, it made him laugh. He was amused. He thought it was great.
Right.
I still, to this day, have no clue what he saw that was funny about that.
Right, a hand.
Now, what was funny to me, if you go back and look at the clip,
Right.
I'm laughing the whole time.
Okay.
Like, I'm not serious at all. And that's because of Gerald Briscoe, who, him and Pat Patterson was standing there trying to help deliver the baby. Gerald has got a very weak stomach.
Okay.
You can say vomit, and he'll go.
Oh.
I mean, he got a really weak stomach. So when Pat Patterson pulled that hand out and it had that slime on it.
Right, yeah.
Oh, man. He vomited right there. I mean,
Oh.
Now I'm laughing. I'm done. I'm done. You can cancel Christmas. Like, I couldn't think straight. I thought that was like the funniest thing that ever happened in pro wrestling. And I never laughed harder than that.
Wow. That was for me, that memory is forever lodged in my brain because it made no sense.
None.
It was comedic gold for 20 different reasons. And me and my friends always talk about it to this day.
Man, people come up. You know how many? I've signed at least 100 fake hands in my life, at minimum.
Right, yeah. And to the non-wrestling fan, it's not going to make any sense. Like, wait a minute, this Olympic strongman, he's signing a hand? I don't get what's going on here.
What happened? Yeah. It's crazy.
Now, you were in a memorable stable, the Nation of Domination.
Yeah.
What did you think? How did they pitch it to you? Did you think, I love this idea? Or at that time, walk me through the process of explaining the Nation, and what was your opinion of it?
Well, I mean, when the Nation was together, I was coming back from Canada. I was living in Canada at Bret Hart's house, getting some more training because I was strong and I had wrestled a while, but they wanted me to get more in wrestling shape.
Sure. And
they wanted me to learn a little bit more so I can go and have matches against the more elite guys.
Sure.
And The Rock lived with me at that time, so we started traveling around together, and one thing led to another, and they started pitching that I joined, that The Rock brings me into the Nation to help Ron Simmons and, fortify the Nation.
Yeah.
And so I kind of went in as the muscle for the Nation, and I ended up turning on Ron with The Rock, but we all turned on Ron. So.
Yeah.
But it was master's lessons, man. Like, you go to college, and then you leave college, and you get into a master's and doctoral programs to further your education. Me going into the Nation was like, walking into a master's program.
Now, you're referring to Ron Simmons kind of
As a teacher.
As the teacher, like, hey,
do this, do that, don't do that. That's not going to help you. Like, he kind of sorted through all the bull crap. Like, I wanted to do arm drags and Ron was like, no. Like, why would you do that?
Yeah.
Like, that's not you.
Why would you do flying head scissors?
That's not for you.
Yeah.
That's for the little dudes.
Right, yeah.
He's like, you need to press people and you need to power slam people.
Yes.
And you need to really, really beat the hell out of them. And I was like, all right. That's what you want me to do. That's what I'm gonna do.
And he's a Bill Watts guy, so he came from old time tough.
Y'all go out and fight. You got disagreement, move the furniture around, fight, and then shake hands. It's over with.
Yeah.
That was Ron. He was a tough dude, man.
Now, it was great to see you in the Nation, and you've had a great career, but you're starting a new career in AEW.
Yeah.
And from what I've heard, I've heard a little bit of your interviews. What exactly is your role going to be? It sounds like it's multi-layered. Elaborate on this multi-layered new career in AEW.
Well, AEW is a new company. I mean, 3 years is still a baby. And there's a lot of things that they do really well, but then there's also a lot of things that they're not exposed to. And at least the talent are not exposed to. Tony Khan is exposed to it, but he wants that for his athletes. And I'm there to help bring everybody up to speed. You know, the work with charity groups, the educational programming, the community involvement, as well as psychology and coaching for all those big guys. Like, there's a lot of guys that was like young Mark Henry before Ron Simmons came along. I need to talk to them and say, hey, this is where you're gonna make your hay. This is where you're gonna make money. All that other stuff, you need to leave it. Like, so I'm there to sift through the ashes and see where the value is. And not just the little guys, I mean, not just the big guys, but the little guys and the guys that's in the middle. Like, psychology is sometimes it's simple psychology, big versus small, fast versus slow, good versus evil. But then when you get into why you screwed me over and what makes the guy bad and what makes the guy good, but how do you get sympathy for that? Getting sympathy is an important thing in pro wrestling. If you don't care about me, then there's not going to be any reaction. You're just going to be like, oh, you deserve to get whooped. But if you care, you're like, man, don't hit him. Don't, come on, Mark. Like, you get, you know, so that's what I'm teaching.
Right.
The why and the when you do things, not just how.
You know, we're talking about educating the younger wrestlers, but what's great is it's one thing to talk and say, well, you know what? But you worked with Eddie Guerrero.
Yeah.
And you worked with those guys that were quicker and faster. So they're going to listen.
Rey Mysterio.
Rey Mysterio.
You start talking about quick and fast. You know, I worked for almost a complete calendar year with Rey Mysterio. And there's nobody that understands psychology better than Rey. He didn't live by being a big, strong guy. He didn't live by being an intermediate-sized guy. He had to learn how to work with everybody and use what people thought. Like, he was sweet, he was nice, he was respectful, but when he had to be tough, he was tough. And people loved that, so you cared about Rey. If you're a big dude and you step on Rey Mysterio, man, you very likely was going to have security to get out of the arena.
Yeah. You worked with tons of guys, and you know, when we talk about Rey Mysterio and Eddie, what is the one thing you feel like the talent at AEW could do that would just change their match just a little bit, take it to that next level? Is there anything that you're seeing right off the bat that you think, you know what, let's go this, let's do this?
I think that the bad guys need to use the referee more. They need to, the referees have to be taught things too. The way that you make people mad is you cheat behind the referee back. If I punch you right in front of the referee, it don't matter. But if I turn my back to you and I poke you in the eye, I poke you in the throat, and the referee didn't see it, now he's like, what's going on? And everybody's mad trying to tell him, you get reaction. That's the thing about pro wrestling. The guys that are good, everybody wants to be cool.
Yes.
Everybody wants to look good when they want to do the flip and the super Sia,
right,
whatever the hell that
the Hurricane Ranas and all this.
You don't need that. You need to put people in jeopardy. You need to put people in situations where people feel like, man, we need to call the police. This ain't good. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right,
like you need to tell stories and make people feel for you. You got to create feelings. And you got these big old giant dudes, and we talking about feelings.
Yes.
But feelings are the most important things in pro wrestling, because without feeling a concern or feeling You know, like, man, this guy's really funny. Or this guy, man, I can't stand him. If you don't have something, then it's going to be quiet. And people are not going to care.
You know, it's interesting. When people talk and they critique a show, I don't think anyone would ever say the referees are not being... No one, I don't think, would ever even come up with that concept.
No.
And that's what I look forward to seeing you do.
That's
on
one
AEW.
of the things that I'm trying to really put in people. There was a point where the good guy was on the floor. He got knocked down by the bad guy. The bad guy had another guy outside the ring walking towards the good guy while he was on the ground. The referee was distracted by the bad guy in the ring. So now the referee turns and sees the bad guy on the floor walking towards the good guy. The referee did not run and get in between them and say, hey, no, you got to leave. Get back or I'm going to throw you out of here. He didn't do that. So he's in the ring going, come on, move, move, move. What's the referee job right there?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. They're supposed to be counting because there's supposed to be a count out. If the person is outside and can't respond, you got to count them out. So there's 2 jobs that they didn't do. So kindly pull them aside. Hey, you know, you got to go down there to the floor and you got to tell that person to get the hell out the way. And then you need to get back in the ring and start to count. Because that's what the people are waiting on. They're confused.
They want the drama.
If you're standing in the ring doing this, I could do that.
Yeah, yeah.
One of the fans could do that.
Yeah.
We don't need you. So make yourself useful. And those are the little troubleshooting things. And they're going to get it. They're going to get it. It's a young company. Everybody make mistakes, man. I mean, I made a lot of them. And luckily for me, I had people like me mentoring me and showing me what to do right.
Who athletically, when you were in the ring, blew your mind? Like, wow, I didn't even think the match would come across that fantastic. And at the end of the day, you're like, wow.
Man, he's here. He's here right now. I saw him outside, Kurt Angle. Kurt was superior to other men as far as athletics. He was the quickest guy I ever saw. He was deceptively strong for his size. And he had a brilliant mind for how to make people disappear so he could get a break. And that's just skill. You know, he just knew how to position himself to where, you know, there's a lot of times I used to see Jose Lothario do it a lot too. He was not the biggest guy, so he had to use leverage and he had to use momentum and he had to move around to get the job done. Kurt did the same thing, just with more tools.
Yeah. Mr. Mark Henry, it's a pleasure to have you here in deep South Texas. It's great
time to go sign, man. These people out here waiting.
That's true. It's great to have you here on PVT. Glad to have you here in South Texas. Give a big shout out to everybody out there. And hey, thanks for coming down. It's been a real pleasure.
Thank y'all for having me down here.